Okay, cross your fingers now. Of all the videos I do during the week, the number one video to go garbled is this one. Welcome to the D. Louise book series. I'm Christina, Kristina. This is where we read books and talk about books. No special effects going on here, no theme music, no special editing, none of that stuff. I'm a series person. I like series. Star Trek Next Generation is a series. Like to watch the characters evolve over episodes, just like characters evolve over books. So, we are on season 6, disc 3. Um, if you have not watched my previous recaps, please go and do that. You will find some of them garbled at some point. Um, Especially, please go back and watch True Q and Time's Arrow. I did those particular videos too many times and they got shorter and shorter each time I did it because of the garbledness of the videos. But we have started disc 3. We are doing the quality of life today. And then we've got a 2-parter coming up, Chain of Command 1, Chain of Command 2, and Ship in a Bottle. So please stick with me for the next couple of weeks and watch those as we almost finish out the year. We might start disc 4 before we finish the year. So please check out these videos. And I hope you stick with me today through all the garbledness. So please hit the like and subscribe also. So today we've got the quality of life, and we start with our famous card game. Let's see if I can do this without screwing up. Oh, wait a second. I forgot to show the um there we go, the quality of life screen. So we'll check this out. We're going to start with no voiceover view. We have the card game ongoing. So here's our card game. Worf says, Commander, is your intention to continue to grow your beard? LaFord says, actually, I'm not sure why, Worf. I'm just asking, Worf says. Crusher says, 7-card stud, one-eyed Jack. Jack's a welt. Frankly, Geordie, I like the beard. Thank you, Commander. You know, I've always been a little suspicious of men with beards. Why is that? Worf says. Crusher says, I don't know. It's as if they're trying to hide something. Hide, Riker says. Don't be ridiculous, Doctor. The beard is an ancient and proud tradition. Some of the most distinguished men in history have worn beards, Doctor. I know, but after the razor was invented, I think beards became mostly a fashion statement. I'm not concerned with fashion. To a Klingon, a beard is a symbol of courage. I think it's a sign of strength. Sure, and of course, women can't grow beards. Doctor, it sounds to me like you feel beards are nothing more than an affectation. I do. There's nothing wrong with that. I mean, women wear makeup and nail polish. I think it's time you men admitted. My beard is not an affectation. Oh well, then you wouldn't mind shaving it off. I could lose it in a minute. I've just gotten used to it, Riker says. Okay, then why don't we up the stakes? If I win, all of you shave your beards off. Wait a minute, wait a minute. What if you lose? What are you going to give up? I'm open for suggestions. Well, I've always wanted to see you as a brunette. Once. I did that once when I was 13. I couldn't change it back fast enough. That makes me even more curious. Fine. If one of you wins, I become a brunette. Are we on? Yeah, we'll take the bet. Looks like you have the hand to beat, Commander. 200. I'm 200 in. Jody, this is Captain. The captain does the over thing. We've arrived at Terranian system. All senior staff to the bridge. Wait, sorry you heard the captain. I guess we'll have to do this another time. So then we get a voice overview from the captain. Captain's log, stardate 46307.2. We've just come into orbit of Tyrus 7. to monitor progress on the titanium particle fountain, a radical new mining technology. So far, the project has been fraught with problems and is well behind schedule. Mr. LaForge has been assigned to evaluate the situation. Okay, so then Jordy is on the planet with the peoples. Dr. Farland, the original design for the particle fountain to lift 500 kilograms per minute from the surface. So far, we haven't come close to that. Well, that's why I want to increase the stream density. That should boost the lift capacity to 72%. Yeah, but you realize, of course, you're going to be overloading the field generators in the process. Not if we just distribute the overload evenly throughout the system. Doctor, forgive me, but maybe we should concentrate on completing the phase of the project before we start talking about redesigning it. And have you noticed that all planets speak our language? All planets understand our technology, our words we use for certain objects. Um, Capacity, kilograms. Everybody uses the same terms. Um, Commander, I know you're here to evaluate the project. Starfleet is considering using a particle fountain on Camera 3. They want to know how feasible it is. And your opinion will be the deciding factor? No, not really. I'll make my report to Captain Picard. He'll make the official recommendation to Starfleet. They will decide. What's your feeling so far? Jody says, well, it seems to me the question we should be asking is this technology more efficient than conventional mining techniques? Commander, I know we've had problems here. It seems like nothing's gone right. It's taking a lot longer than I thought to get the particle stream to full strength, but I know it can work. This is the direction that the mining is going to take in the future. It should be implemented in Chimera 3. I know this can potentially be very exciting. All right, I want to show you something I've been working on, something that might help us complete the project more quickly. I've used these on a limited basis, and some alarms go off. So we'll see what's going on there. So the alarms are going off on the planet. Data says Enterprise to Commander LaForge. Data says I'm reading a significant power fluctuations from the station core. Please report. Jordy says, LaForge here, we have a malfunction in one of the power grids. We're losing particle stream confinement. Do you need assistance? Stand by. I'm sorry, doctor. I think we're going to have to shut this down. And she gets all upset. It took 4 months to get the particle flux up to this level. If we shut down, it'll take another 4 months just to get it back. Look, we have less than 5 minutes before we lose confinement. When that happens, the particle stream is going to flood this entire station. We're going to have to shut it down anyway. Then we'll just have to fix the power grid. Yeah, how do we do that? The defective grid is 200 meters down conduit A2. We have to disassemble 4 bulkheads just to get to it. Well, there's the perfect opportunity to show you what I had in mind. And she comes up with this device. Let's see if I can get it. Apparently, those are the bulkheads that Jordy is talking about. So she puts this little robot thing in the tube, and it reminds me we've seen little robots like this in other shows. And also I know that the one I'm thinking of was massively primitive to this because that happened 20 years prior. But there was this little robot that used to walk around Wonder Woman set too. But and we've seen a couple of these on other shows. These cute little robots, they were a thing for a while. So she just puts this thing in the tunnel. This is an exocomp, the experiment I was telling you about. If it doesn't work, we'll still have time to shut down the fountain. Enterprise to the Forge, what's your situation? Jordy says, unchanged for the moment. We're working on it. Listen, if this doesn't work, we're going to have to shut this thing down, all right? Jordy says, the confinement field is at full strength. Particle flux, all levels are back to normal. Data says, please report. We're fine. The data is fully restored. The exocomp fixed whatever it fixed. How were you able to accomplish the repair so quickly? Well, I'm not sure. There's another little picture of our little guy. You know, I've seen this before someplace else. I wonder if Voyager used it. I have to see. Isn't that a cute little bugger? So when we come back from opening credits, we have an overview from the captain. Captain's log, stardate 4635.2. Repairs to the particle foundation seem to have succeeded and is now functioning smoothly. Dr. Fallon is coming aboard to demonstrate the device that carried out the repairs. It's times like these that I want to know where Chief O'Brien is, where our Calamini is. I'm just saying. So they come aboard with her little toy. Um, Welcome to the Enterprise, Doctor. I'm Lieutenant Commander Data. Mr. Data, I was hoping I'd have a chance to meet with you. I've done extensive studies on your positronic network, and I've studied your design for the particle fountain. I found the concept to be highly innovative. Thank you. I'm curious how you were able to repair the power grid so quickly. This should make it clear, Commander. Why don't we set up an engineering? Is it true that your computational speed is only limited by the physical separation of your positronic links? Actually, Data, that is no longer the case. I've recently converted my interlink sequencer to an asynchronous operation, which removed the performance constraint. Doctor, this way. I see, but how did you resolve the signal fragmentation? So, it looks like that she's not paying attention to Geordi anymore, that she's all into Data. Data this, Data that, Data this. So we'll see what happens. So they're all in engineering, looking over her little machine here. Um, we've been using the devices like this on Tyrant 7 for years. The basic unit is a common industrial servo mechanism. A few years ago, I started tinkering with this one. This is the result. Bordium power converter, AXO chip network. It's very impressive. In terms of your sheer computational speed, this little guy might be able to compete with you, Data. Oh, the exocomps don't come close to Data's sophistication. Exocomps? That's what I call them. But let's say you had an antimatter flow converter that is fluctuating. How would you prepare it? The correct procedure would be to adjust the converter. With what? A mode stabilizer. Okay, let me input the problem into the exocomp. A fluctuating antimatter flow converter. Now see what happens. And the machine makes a tool appear. You have incorporated a micro replication system into the device in order to fashion tools. Let's see if I can get another picture. All right, so this is the three of them sitting there. So they go through all the different performances. The more situations they encounter, the more circuit pathways they build. They become better tools as they work. Jody says it's impressive technology, that's for sure. Once it's out of the experimental stage, there'll be plenty of applications. Commander, I'm hoping the experimental stage is over. When are we supposed to brief Captain Picard on the status of the particle fountain? At 1600 hours. Good. I'll have a proposal ready. Okay, so then the three of them are in the captain's ready room. Captain, I know you're supposed to give your evaluation to Starfleet today. I'd like you to postpone that report for another 48 hours. The Enterprise is scheduled to leave Tyrarian system tomorrow. If I am to change the plan, I need a very good reason. I realize that, sir. If you're going to make a recommendation to the Starfleet using the particle fountain on Chimera, it seems only fair that you should see it operating at full strength. Agreed. I think I can complete the project and boost the efficiency of the particle stream if I use exocomps, the new devices I've constructed. Picard says, I understand one of these devices successfully repaired a faulty program. Yes, sir. I've been testing them on a limited basis, but I think they're ready to be used on a larger scale. And Picard asked Geordi about his thoughts. Well, I guess the only risk is falling even further behind. I'm willing to take the risk, she says. Mr. Data, the exocoms are highly sophisticated devices, sir. If they perform up to expectation, their potential to advance the project is considerable. Picard says, I'm inclined to agree. I don't think that 48 hours is too much time to risk, particularly when the gains are substantial. You may proceed, Doctor. Thank you, sir. If possible, I'd like Commander Data to work with me. I'm a little concerned about this. We shall see. So here's our little guy in action. Commander, there's a plasma conduit in one of the access tunnels that's ready to be sealed. It's a perfect job for the exocomp. I agree, Doctor. Well, Mr. Data, what is your analysis so far? Data says, I've successfully completed 14 separate tasks with the exocomp in the past hour. I estimate it would take two people 9 hours to complete the same task. I would characterize the unit's performance as excellent. I hope Commander LaForge and Captain Picard agree with you. I'm confident they will. Commander LaForge is especially, and the exocomp comes back out of the tube without accomplishing its task. Let's see what's up with that. So here's them talking. I just thought I'd show them talking with the machine. Oh, this is our little explosion. Then we get a voice overview. Second Officer's Log, Stardate 46315.5. The unexplained behavior of the exocomp has greatly puzzled Dr. Fallon and myself. We have brought the defective unit to the Enterprise for investigation. All right, she's back in engineering. So what do you think of Geordi's beard? I don't know. I still think after 6 seasons, they should do the surgery on Geordi's eyes and give him his eyes back. Um, the exocomp came out of the plasma conduit. We tried to override the commands and send it back in, but it just shut down. It's been completely unresponsive ever since. Let's see what our computer has to say. Data says, Geordi, the interface circuitry which links the exocomp to control the pad is completely burnt out. That's strange. Is there any evidence of a secondary power surge? Data says no. There's no shot of the three of them. They're all standing next to each other. Um, What's going on, Data? Increase the magnification of section gamma 4. Interesting. The number of new circuit pathways has increased by 632%. No, she says. What is it, Geordi says? Sometimes an exocomp starts forming large numbers of new pathways totally at random. Eventually, it reaches a point where it shuts down like this one. Doctor, the new pathways don't appear to be interfering with the original circuitry. Once the exocomp is badly corrupted, it's useless. You have to erase the unit and start all over again, and there's no time for that now. That leaves you only two. It's going to slow you down. Yes, Commander, you have the right to point out that you told me so. I only wanted to say that we'd be happy to add an extra shift to pick up the slack. I'm sorry, I guess I'm touchy these days. It's okay. You've got a lot on your shoulders. Well, I better get back to it. Thanks, Commander. Then Geordi and Data talk. So she leaves. I feel sorry for her. This project has nothing but problems. Why did the plasma conduit explode? Apparently, there was a microfracture in the conduit wall. The fault did not register on our instruments. I guess it's a good thing the exocomp malfunctioned. Almost seems like it knew just when to leave. Geordi, are you implying the exocomp exhibited some form of self-preservation? Of course not. A voiceover. Lieutenant Pearson to Commander LaForge. Sir, could you join us in the systems monitor room? On my way. Ah, sorry about the lighting. Uh, Data takes the machine to his quarters. Computer, perform a level 1 diagnostic of the exocom's command module. The pathways are functioning normally. How can that be if the interface circuitry is burned out? Computer says the interface circuitry has been repaired. Curious, computer, access the exocom sensor logs. Confirm that there was a failure of interface security when the last 12 hours. Confirm, interface failure occurred at 1157 hours today, when the exocom produced a power surge which burned out the linkage. How and when it was repaired. The exocomp activated a self-repair program at 1340 hours. Why would the exocomp burn out its own interface circuitry and repair it 2 hours later? Unknown. Dang. So Jordy comes to join her in 10 forward. Here you are. I thought you'd be hard at work by now. I wanted a quiet cup of tea before I went back, gathering strength, I guess. I've come to tell you I've assigned 2 engineering teams to work on the particle fountain. Thank you, Commander. I'm grateful. You know, I really want you to know that I do admire the work you've done. I'm sorry the exocomps aren't working out. You were right. I'm trying to move too fast. I guess I lack the conservation streak most scientists have. I always seem to be out there on the edge taking chances. You know, Jordy says, I'll bet you were the kind of girl who was always climbing one branch higher than the other kids. Anything to get to the top of the tree. I bet you never fell. Oh no, I fell all the time. Usually breaking a bone in the process. I just never let it stop me. Well, if it comes down to sheer determination, Jordy says, I know you'll get this particle fountain built. You're right about that, Commander. I've spent the last 6 years of my life on this project. I first thought I wake up and it's my final thought before I go to bed. She's living and breathing this machine. So then we're in sick bay. Dr. Crusher is making repairs to her arm. Doctor, if you wish to master the Bethel sword, you must learn to strike and avoid in the same motion. I almost got it under your guard, Worf. Almost. Well, I'll keep that in mind next session. Are you injured, Doctor? Data comes in. I think that's a weird question. He sees she's got a cut on her hand. She's obviously injured. Only my pride, Data. And then Worf leaves. What is the definition of life? Dr. Crusher paused. The big question is, why are you asking? I'm searching for a definition that will allow me to test a hypothesis. Well, the broadest scientific definition might be that life is what enables plants and animals to consume food, derive energy from it, grow, adapt themselves to their surroundings, and reproduce. Are you suggesting that anything which exhibits these characteristics is considered in life? In general, yes. What about fire? Fire? It consumes fuel to produce energy, it grows, it creates offspring. By that definition, is it alive? Fire is a chemical reaction. You could use the same argument for growing crystals, but obviously we don't consider them alive. What about me? I do not grow, I do not reproduce, I'm considered alive, but you are unique. Data, may I ask, what exactly are you getting at? I'm curious as to know what transpired between the moment I was nothing more than an assemblage of parts in Dr. Sung's laboratory and the next moment when I became alive. What was it that endowed me with life? I remember Wesley asking me a similar question when he was little, and I tried desperately to answer, but everything I said sounded inadequate. Then I realized that the scientists and philosophers has been grappling with that question for centuries without coming to any conclusion. Are you saying the question cannot be answered? No. I'm saying that we all struggle all our lives to answer, but the struggle that's important. That's what helps us define our place in the universe. I understand. I don't think I've been much help, Data. On the contrary, you've been great help, and Data leaves. I think what they later decide is that it's a sentient being. It's able to make decisions, solve problems, and that's how a thing is considered a life. That it's a sentient being. Let's see what happens. So then we're back down on the planet again. Murphy's team will cover gamma shift from 2300 to 2700 hours. Okay, doctor. I split the engineering teams all the shifts, and if nothing else goes wrong, we should be able to help you finish on time. With the help of the exocomps, I think we will. Do you think they'll toe the line? Don't worry, they know who's in charge. Data comes down. Doctor, I must ask you to stop using the exocomps. Why? Is there something wrong with them? No, it's not that. I have reason to believe the exocomps are alive. So the doctor is talking to Picard. Captain, I object to being called here. I'm wasting time that could be better spent elsewhere. Doctor, I appreciate your time constraints, but recognizing new life, whatever its form, is the principal mission of the vessel. Now, Mr. Data will you tell us what makes you think the exocomps are alive? Okay, so everybody, oh look, Troy! We haven't seen her in a while. Jordy, where's Riker? There's no Riker. um, sir, when the exocomps left the access tunnel prior to the explosion, it may have been attempting to save itself from destruction. Do you have any basis for that conclusion? Yes, when you attempted to override the exocomp and send it back into tunnel, it responded by deliberately burning out its control interface. Deliberately? The computer diagnostics showed that the exocomp disabled its own interface. That could have been nothing more than a malfunction. Data says, however, 2 hours later, when it was aboard the Enterprise and no longer in danger, it repaired itself. I believe the exocomp was protecting itself, and if that's true, it has demonstrated an awareness of its environment and an ability to adapt to that environment. Your anthropomorphizing. I'm horrible at this. Anthropomorphizing. These units, like any mechanical devices, they occasionally malfunction. One time I saw an exocomp enter a reaction chamber for no reason and vaporize itself. Is that supposed to make me think it was depressed and suicidal? Troy says, Doctor, why is it difficult for you to accept the fact that the exocomp could be alive? After all, you're talking to a living machine right now. And I have nothing but the utmost respect and admiration for Dr. Soon's accomplishment. But his intention was to create an artificial life form. I've created the exocomps to be tools. There is a big difference between data and a tool. Doctor, there's a big difference between you and a virus, but both are alive, Data says. If the possibility exists, no matter how slight, that these exocomps are life forms, we must examine that a possibility. Thank you, sir. And until we have a definite answer, I believe it would be inappropriate to exploit the exocomps as laborers. That's absurd. If they're intelligent life forms, we have no right to force them to work for us. That's like telling me not to use your tricorder. Tricorders aren't alive. Neither are exocomps. Picard says these are difficult issues to resolve. We have to proceed very carefully. So the first task is to test Mr. Data's hypothesis. Jordy says, Data, you're claiming the exocomp may be alive because it demonstrated survival instincts, right? Yes. Then why don't we just threaten its survival again and see what happens? Make it so. So they put the exocomp in the tube again. All gather round for the experiment. Doctor, we're pretty much ready here. You begin programming. What we've done, Captain, is to recreate a similar situation similar to the one the exocomp encountered in the plasma conduit. We've created a small conduit breach in its tube. The exocomp would normally require several minutes to complete a repair of this type. Once it enters the tube, it will find the plasma cascade failure is in progress. I presume this is a simulation. Yes, sir. We're running a transient overload that will simulate a failure in exactly 1 minute. If it does possess a survival instinct, as Mr. Data claims, it will exit the tube before the minute is up in order to save itself. and proceed. Okay, beginning program test now. 1 minute. The exocomp heads off. 50 seconds it gets to work. 30 seconds it stops, hesitates, then continues. 10 seconds, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. That's it. If this had been for real, the conduit would have exploded and the exocomp inside. Go ahead, doctor, bring it back. Well, Captain, I think we spent more than enough time answering this question. I hope the outcome wasn't too much of a disappointment for Mr. Data. It certainly came as no surprise to me. Thank you for your help. Well, I consider this time well spent. So do I. Later, Data is repeating the experiment. 30 seconds, 20 seconds. Commander Riker said you'd still be down here. He also said the exocomp failed the test. So he's trying it again on his own. And I think the exocomp knew it was a test, and that's why it didn't believe what was going on. So here's Dr. Crusher talking to Data. Wasn't it supposed to do that? In the previous 34 trials, I brought it back once the simulation failure occurred. This time we're talking and I neglected to do that. I got distracted. No, I'm sorry. Don't apologize, doctor. I believe we've discovered something significant. The exocomp was replicated a different tool. This one, not the modular fuser it had when it entered the Jeffries tube. Doctor, the exocomp not only completed the pass, it deactivated the overload signal. I thought this was a simulation. It was, and the exocomp must have realized that. It saw that there was no real danger and completed the repairs. Then the replicated correct tool to eliminate the false overload signal. I see no other possibility. The exocomp didn't fail the test. It saw right through it, she says. So then we get another voiceover from the captain. Captain's log, stardate 46317.8. At Dr. Fallon's request, I've agreed to tour the station and assess the situation personally. I must decide soon whether it's in Starfleet's best interest to recommend the particle fountain as a reliable technology. We're definitely making progress, Captain. I'm not sure we'll be at full capacity within the 48-hour deadline, but we'll be close. It looks like there's still some difficulty with the phase selectors, Geordi says. That's true, Dr. Fallon says, but I'm sure it's the last real problem. I hope for the sake of the project that you're right, Doctor. I understand. We're going to do our best. The lights go out. This is strange. The primary power is still online, she says. Maybe it's another power grid malfunction. I don't think so. Something seems to be drawing power into the main particle impeller. This is not a good sign. It could mean, and the place shakes a little bit. We've lost internal confinement. The particle stream is beginning to surge. Captain, a radiation field is going to flood this chamber. We've got to get everybody out of there immediately. Picard understood the station must be evacuated. Captain, I might still. This is an order, Doctor. Now assemble all personnel to the transporter pod. Picard to Enterprise. Beam us out of here now. So Riker says, Riker here, radiation field is increasing. We are losing communications. Riker says, prepare for emergency transport. Red alert, Riker to transporter 2. Prepare for emergency transport. So the radiation is setting up a field ionization effect, Captain. We've got less than a minute to beam out of here. Is that everybody? Where's Tachenia? Over there, near the impeller control. I'll get him. Tachenia. Geordi disappears. Mr. LaForge, stand by for transport. Captain, you'll be trapped here. And Picard beams them away. Mr. LaForge, are you all right? Yeah, Captain, I'm fine. I only caught the edge of it. The other guy is dead. So then they beam back to the Enterprise. Are they still on the station? Can you get them off? I'm trying, sir. I can't establish a pattern lock. Commander, we barely managed to transport ourselves. The field isolation is too intense. Data tells Riker and Worf the particle fountain is continuing to surge. At present rate, the radiation in the station core will reach fatal levels in 23 minutes. So then Geordi and the captain are working together. Captain, if I can access the emitters, we should be able to establish a force field. See if you can link your console to my command, subroutine. Now, they're on a foreign station. They're on another planet, and they know how to work the foreign place's computers. Just saying. All right, link established. Okay, here we go. I'm reading power fluctuations. The force field is not stable. Yeah, I know. The radiation levels are too high. The emitters are going to deteriorate. How long can we expect it to last? Not very long. We have to keep it up long enough for Commander Riker to get us. Maybe we can help him out. See if you can access the emergency shutdown routine. I'll try to activate the iconic dampeners. So data says a force field was activated on the station a few minutes ago. It's possible the Commander LaForge has established a low intensity deflector field. It won't last long in radiation. No, my readings indicate that it will fail in approximately 22 minutes. Okay, we've got 22 minutes. I want some options. Can we send a shuttlecraft down to evacuate them? Would never get there in time. Then we need to shut down the particle fountain. What if we detonated a low yield photon torpedo with the particle stream? Wouldn't that shut it down? We'd have to configure the torpedo very carefully. The shape of the shockwave should be critical, but it could work. How long would it take to set up? I estimate that it would take a minimum of 65 minutes to properly configure the torpedo. Looks like we don't have that kind of time. Commander, maybe the exocomps can help us. I can program their board cells to explode on command. They can be configured like a photon torpedo, but it would only take a couple of minutes. Commander, I must object to that plan. Data, we've been through this. We've tested the exocomp and it failed. Dr. Crusher and I discovered that the exocomp did not fail the test. It is my belief we are dealing with a new life form. Mr. Data, you know how much I respect your judgment, but I can't risk the captain and Geordi based on your belief. Prepare the exocomp, Doctor. Commander, if I'm correct, the exocomp will not allow themselves to be destroyed. They'll have a sense of survival and they will shut down before they will comply with the order. I could disconnect their command pathways before I program them. Do it. So they try and beam the exocomps over, and the data shuts down the programming. He won't let the computers be used that way. He totally, absolutely believes they are sentient beings. So then Riker has a situation with Data. So, I gave you direct order, Mr. Data. You release the transporter lockout now. I cannot do that, sir. If you don't do it, I will relieve you of duty. That is your prerogative, sir. Under Starfleet regulations, direct insubordination is a court-martial offense. But I will not release the transporter. Data, those are two of your friends out there. They have saved your life more time than I can remember. I can't believe you'd be willing to sacrifice them like this. Commander, please do not think this is an arbitrary decision. I have considered the ramifications of my actions carefully, and I do not believe it's justifiable to sacrifice one life for another. You don't know that the exocomps are life forms. It is true I'm acting on my personal beliefs, but I do not see how I can do otherwise. You're risking a lot on the basis of belief. I have observed that humans often base their judgments on what is referred to instinct or intuition. Because I am a machine, I lack that particular ability. However, it may be possible that I have insight into other machines that humans lack. If there's a way to save the captain and Geordi without destroying the exocomps, I would jump on it. But we have run out of time, and this is the only solution I've got. Then let me offer an alternative. Transport me to the station. I will attempt a manual shutdown of the particle stream. The radiation levels are too high, even for you. Your positronic net would ionize in no time. I can't let you sacrifice yourself. Commander, if I give my life to save my fellow officers, that is my choice. The exocomps no longer have a choice. Then what if we reconnect their command pathways and give them a choice? You've assumed the exocomps would shut down before accepting this mission. What if we ask them if they are willing to proceed? That sounds reasonable enough, sir. If they choose to go, I will be willing to release the transporter lock. Fair enough. So they've reprogrammed the exocomps. All right, I've enabled their pathway commands. If the exocomps do not shut down after I've programmed them, we assume they are willing to go. The exocomps flash the lights, wave a little antenna, and beep at each other. What does that mean? Are they willing to go or not? They haven't shut down. They seem to be reprogramming the commands I've entered. Reprogramming that. Clearly, they are unwilling to be transported into the stream of detonation, although they may have an alternative situation or solution. Something we haven't considered are suggesting they have superior intelligence? No, they do not have superior experience. but they do have superior experience. During their service, they've interfaced with every part of the station core, something none of us have done, including yourself. They may have another way to control the particle surge. The exocoms create their tools for their jobs. Those appear to be power taps. Certain new coordinates are being fed into the transporter core by the exocoms. The coordinates are inside the core station. So they send them over. So um the exocoms being over to the station. Mr. Forge, what are they up to? The exocoms are siphoning power from the core. They're trying to distort the particle stream frequency. That might open up a window that the Enterprise can use to beam us out. If they can modulate the radiation field, it'll work, but they'll have to get the subhonic frequencies to Renaissance. The particle stream frequency is beginning to fluctuate. They're having a little difficulty controlling the feedback. It may be more than they can handle. Can we help them? Is there any way we can moderate the power transfer? No. We've done all that we can do. It's up to them now. They're balancing the power absorption rates. It's working. The power stream is beginning to short, almost at a resistance. They've got it. Drop the force field. Commander, I've got a pad unlock, energize, and they beam Picard and LaForge out of there. Can you lock on the exocoms? I'm trying, sir. Two of the little machines are beamed in. I'm sorry, sir. I was only able to lock onto two of them. For some reason, I couldn't fix the signal on the other. One of them had to continue disrupting the particle beam. Absorbing that much power could prevent a signal lock. It was the only way to save the other two, so it sacrificed its life for the other two exocoms. That's a sentient being to me. So then we're back in Picard's ready room. I must admit you've given me a lot to think about, Commander. I don't know what the exocom saw, but you can be assured that until I do, I won't be treating them as simple twos. Thank you, Doctor. I wish your work on the particle fountain had been more successful. Perhaps the exocoms will help you reconstruct it. I hope they will, and I predict that in a year or two you will be able to recommend the technology to Starfleet. I look forward to it, Picard says. Doctor, something more, Mr. Data? Yes. I thought you might want to know why I'd be willing to risk your life for several small machines. I think I understand the predicament you were in. It could not have been an easy choice. No, sir, it was not. When my status as a living being was in question, you fought to protect my rights, and for that I will always be grateful. The exocoms had no advocate. If I had not acted in their behalf, they would have been destroyed. I could not allow that to happen, sir. Of course you couldn't. It's the most human decision you've ever made, Mr. Data. So that's the end of quality of life. I hope you enjoyed our little recap. I hope I did not go garbled. And I hope you will tune in next week for Chain of Command Part 1, following week for Chain of Command Part 2, and Ship in the Bottle. And please hit the like and subscribe. Thank you.